What's up, well builders? Today, I'm going to share with you my goals for 2025, how I plan to accomplish them, and what you can learn from all the failures that I've had that are dictating how I feel about these goals and why I'm reaching after them. I'm going to be sharing with you guys different business goals in my different businesses, as well as some personal goals along the way, because it's not just all about making money. We got to live the wealthy way. To talk about all the aspects that are important in our lives. So let's hop into it. First goal. Let's talk about real estate. My company, Home Run Offer, has been around officially since 2017. I started flipping in 2015. So, we're going on a decade in this business. And over time, I have learned many different things. I've made lots of money flipping houses over the years. So we flipped 600-700 houses at this point. Done millions and millions of dollars. But I've also lost millions on bad deals. And as I have kind of gone about it over the last few years, in some ways I have overcorrected. In other ways, I was reckless. And so what I'm about to share with you are goals now that I think are more important to me as I've gotten older and as I've taken a lot of wins, but also a lot of losses, and how I plan to kind of like find that happy balance of risk versus reward. So, first thing is to give some hindsight. From 2018 to 2022, I was predominantly all flip, meaning I was actually buying the properties, fixing them up, taking on lots of debt, all the risk. My investors didn't take any risk. I personally guaranteed everything. And look, it made me a lot of money from 18, 19, 2020, 2021, and the beginning of 2022. But when interest rates doubled midway through 22, I got left holding the bag. I paid back all my investors. It was super painful to do. I'm thankful I had the money and all that different stuff, but they didn't lose anything from it. I personally lost millions selling off all of our deals, paying back all of the interest due to our investors, paying back all their principal. It was a huge learning experience for me. And, going into 2023 and 2024, I said, you know what? I never want to have that many flips again. At that point in 2022, I had over $20 million of hard money and private money loans out on all these flips. It was probably about 50 flips at that time, active, meaning I owned them, meaning, maybe they were under construction, they were on the market, maybe they had offers, but, 20 million plus of obligations and debt. That's over $200,000 a month in interest payments. Look, I had operated that way, very similar, for like 4 or 5 years from 2018 to 2022, and it worked out fine because the market was always good. But the moment the market shifted, I got to finally see the downside of taking all the risk. I reaped all the upside for 4 or 5 years, but I also now saw the downside of carrying that much debt. And so in 23, 24, I made it my mission to sell off all those properties and really just focus on wholesale, because wholesale doesn't take on any debt, has very little risk. You could still make just as much as you do flipping houses. And, really you just take more front-end risk by spending money on marketing. But even when I was flipping, I was still spending all this money on marketing to get our flips. I just would buy them instead of wholesaling them. So that part wasn't even any different. I was always spending money on marketing. We would spend, $40,000 to $100,000 a month on marketing for just my house flipping company. So when you're taking both the front end risk on marketing and the back end risk on taking on debt to flip and contractors, and by the way, when you flip, you need a way bigger team, you need more staff, you need more project managers and all the stuff. It just occurred to me, I'm like, dude, I never want to have that much debt again when it comes to flipping houses and short-term debt. I don't mind it for like apartments and all that stuff, but for flips, I don't want to get burned like that again. So from 23 to 24, I basically liquidated all my flips. I just solely focused on wholesaling and doing novations. And that has been our business really the last 2 years. Now, why am I telling you all that? Because I need to give you the context for why I'm setting the goals I have today as we go into 2025. Now that we're in a much better place financially, all those deals have been paid out for the most part. I still actually have 2 luxury flips that I'm still paying interest on, waiting to sell. That's sucks. But yeah, all the investors, everyone's gotten paid back. But, I still have a couple of flips still from that area, which is crazy. But the rest are all wholesales and all this other stuff. And I said, you know what? I don't think that we should just not flip, period. There's still lots of money to be made flipping. We just got to do it responsibly, and we got to set the right goals and the right kind of like ceilings in place. Instead of just buying every single good deal, let's now buy deals that meet a certain minimum criteria, and then also to have a cap to how many we're willing to buy, right? Because what if I found 20 deals with that minimum criteria this month? Well, I don't want to take on that much debt, so I still can't do it. So I need to set the right minimum criteria and then the right cap of the amount of deals I'm willing to buy each and every month. And so for me, those are as follows now. For me, one of my goals for the real estate investing side next year is that I want to buy 4 deals per month that I am going to flip. So that's basically 1 a week. That was what I did in 2017. In 2017, I bought 50 houses. And that was basically 1 per week. And I did it with no seller marketing, direct to seller marketing. It was all MLS, wholesalers, and agents. That's it. Just the free methods. And I'm okay doing that again this year. I'm okay buying 1 per week. And, the prices today from 2017 are higher, so I'll have to take on more debt. But the way I look at it is if I buy let's just say the average house I buy is probably going to be around $500K here in Vegas. By the way, I'm only buying flips in Vegas, right? I'll wholesale and novate nationwide, which I'll talk about here in a sec, but I'm only buying flips in Las Vegas because we know this market. We have the construction, we have the crews, we have all the infrastructure in place to flip at a high level here. We've been doing it for a decade. So I only want to do it here. And I am going to buy 1 a week. And it has to have a minimum profit of $50,000 when it's all said and done. So my goal is buy 1 a week, $50,000 profit. In fact, we've already put 2 under contract and just me deciding this goal a week ago. So we're right on pace to already do that. It's actually a lot easier than I thought it would be because less flippers are in the market these days. People like myself kind of got scared of buying and fixing and flipping after, a lot of people lost money and many of them went to wholesaling. A lot of people just aren't even in the industry anymore. So it's actually, I found, less competitive than ever before buying as the flipper. So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited that the prices are higher because it allows us to get bigger house flip profits. I mean, when I first started house flipping in 2015, my minimum at that time was $20,000. If I could buy a flip for 20 grand and make 20 grand, I was good. But then again, the average price back then was $200,000. So yeah, it made sense, 10%. Well, that's kind of what you always go for as a flipper. Like you want to make a minimum of 10% of the ARV. So if I know my ARV is going to be $500K, 10% is $50,000. So that's my goal. If I could buy 4 a month, $50,000 profit on each, that's $200K per month, $2.4 million this year. And the best part is, it doesn't really cost me anything to do. They're all referral based. They're all relationship based. That's pretty much all net money at the end of the day because I don't have sales commissions. I don't have, marketing expenses. Like, my COO is just going to handle all those. He gets paid on the overall, production of the company. And, I'm just going to do different things to get those deals. So a couple things that I'm doing to get those deals. Number one, I hired an MLS person now, so somebody to go out there and get deals on the MLS. We haven't had that kind of person in the last couple of years because we haven't been worried about flipping properties. So, I rehired an MLS person, so that's how I'm going to accomplish that for maybe 2 or 3 of the deals per month. And then I'm going to hold more meetups. So I'm doing free meetups here in Las Vegas. I've kind of gotten away from that too. Back in 2018, 2019, I used to hold a monthly meetup here in Vegas. This was pre-social media, pre-WealthCon, pre-everything. And it was the biggest meetup in town. It was the best meetup. And those meetups got me a lot of deals from wholesalers and agents. And I tell our students this all the time at Wealthy Investor. I'm like, guys, hold meetups. They can make you a ton of money. You will get deals if you are the person hosting the meetup. Yes, you'll get deals if you attend meetups because you're going to be in the room. But dude, they're the host, right? You have everyone's data. You are the person. You are the authority. You should host meetups if you want to execute this strategy. And so for me, I'm taking my own advice because I've done it before and I'm doing it again. So I'm going to host some more meetups this year for the local community and hopefully do business with a lot of people overall. So yeah, I think that actually is going to be the easiest thing we do. And for me, the numbers play out at, I know that that's our upside. The risk, now that I look at risk way more, is that if we buy for a month and the average cycle is about 5 months, which I would expect, that means we're going to have about 20 properties at all times. 4 times 5 months. So that's 20 properties at all times. And if the average flip is $500K, let's just say that's $10 million worth of debt. I'm okay with $10 million worth of debt, especially now with where things are at with a strong direct to seller side. And then, strong other businesses, which we'll talk about. I'm okay taking $10 million worth of debt risk. I don't want 20 to 30 million like I had before. That's just too stressful, all that good stuff. So, one a week is what my goal is there. And I think that should make us over $2 million pretty much net, just because all the other things in the business are already there, and ready to roll. So, that's one of my goals for Home Run Offer. The second goal is on our direct to seller side, right? So, that's what I've been building out, at a higher level the last 2 years. And we've gotten really good at doing wholesales and novations. We do them in Vegas. We do them nationwide. Everything's virtual now. And so my goal with that side of the business is to get that to consistently doing $300K a month. And I think obviously we've had those kind of months before, but I want it to be consistent. I want it to be averaged out. So that means, there might be months where we do 100K, but that means there's also months that we do 500K, right? But I want the average to end up being 300,000 a month. And we'll see what I have to end up spending to get there. I think we could spend, $60,000. That would give us a 5X at that scale. So that's kind of what I envision. If I spend $60,000, I think we can do 300,000 a month. We'll have sales commissions and dispo commissions and all that stuff, but we should be able to net a good chunk of change at that. And so for me, if I look at just putting those two sides of the business together, that's about 500K per month that we're doing between flipping, wholesaling, and novations. And that's a great business. I'm totally happy with that business. And the other part too that I think about is on the flipping side, back to the referrals of the MLS and buying from agents. I've neglected that for the last 2 years. And so that's always been there as an opportunity, right? That's one of the beauties of social media and being known is that you get more referral business if you want it. And I've made a lot of money from referrals over the years. My current house was a referral. I've bought hundreds of homes from wholesalers and agents and things over the years. So it's going to be cool to be back on that side of it, buying again and really rebuilding those relationships with different people. And so I'm excited for that. So yeah, overall, that's the goal. Is it going to happen right away? It's going to take time to rebuild these things and scale up to them. But I would guess after Q1 of 2025, we could be at those levels. Because if we do what we're supposed to do in Q1, you build your pipeline, you do all this stuff. Q2 is when you start reaping. So, we got to sow a lot of seed right now in Q1 to start reaping in Q2 and Q3. That's how real estate works. Your cash conversion cycle, even if I start buying today, especially on these flips, I am not actually going to sell them and reap the reward, until Q2. So, that's just where I want to get to on average. Does it mean we're going to average that for the entire year? Probably not. But at some point in the year, I want those to be my averages, and I want that to be what we do consistently going forward. And then, from there, I'll decide what else I want to do. I don't think I'll ever really want to buy more than that again. I don't want to get back to 20 million in debt. So even if we get there and we're doing good, if the market shifts, I don't want to be left holding that much again. But I think what we would scale at that point, if we got to the 300K a month consistently on wholesaling and novation, I would then, start spending more, hire more salespeople, try to go get to 500K, 600K, whatever, right? So that's how I would plan to scale. But, I'm more concerned about profitability than I am about anything, because I've seen so many times putting up big revenue numbers, and I've been guilty of this too. And then, you spent all this money on marketing, you spent all this other stuff, and it's just like, you know what? We would have made more if we just did less. We'd have net more if we did less. And so net profit is the main thing that I'm looking for at this point with everything that we do. Now, a lot of you guys might be saying, Ryan, what about like the rentals and the apartments and all that stuff? I mean, to be honest with you, depending on where I'm at in the year, probably around Q2, Q3, I'll have to decide what that plan is based on, hey, are these things working out? Hey, how's our cash flow? Okay, cool. We're hitting our goals. Let's start to buy some rental property so we can start offsetting taxes. I didn't really have to worry about that the last 2 years because we took so many losses from those flips that I mentioned earlier. And honestly, too, like it was really hard to find rental properties the last 2 years that even made sense because of the raising interest rates and all those things. So I think it's going to be easier to buy rentals this upcoming year. And I think I'll actually, have a big need for them if I hit my goals. But overall, I'm just kind of like waiting and seeing. To me, you want to keep your goals simple. And the simplicity is, if I hit those two goals, which I just said, I'm buying a deal a week from wholesalers and agents and MLS, and then we're doing what we got to do on the direct to seller side, then inevitably, I'm going to find rental properties because we're doing a lot of deals. And inevitably, I'm going to know I have this fat tax bill and I'll start buying some rental properties that way. But if those aren't happening, if we aren't making money, then I don't need rentals, right? I got bigger problems on hand. I got to go fix those things. So it's like kind of like doing things in the proper order. A lot of times people do things in the opposite order. They're like, Ryan, I'm going to go buy all these rental properties. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to go buy them? Like, why do you need them? What's your tax problem? And they're like, oh, well, I'll figure that out later. But, I want to get that long-term wealth. And I'm like, bro, you're thinking about this backwards. Like, get this first, and then this becomes simple. It becomes a no-brainer. So for me, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm just like, yo, let's go flip and wholesale and do that at a high level. The rentals will take care of themselves. That's how I built my rental portfolio to this point. I was always doing that every single year in that way. So, no rental goal. I'm just focused on the flips and wholesales. Let's talk about goal number 2. Okay, we'll go to the other side of the business with wealthy investor. So for those who don't know, if this is your first time at this channel, Wealthy Investor is our real estate education company. And, I started doing real estate education in 2018. Basically made no money the first 2 years. I was making millions flipping houses in 2018, 2019. And I started doing education because everyone was asking me about getting coached. And I was like, I don't know. I'll make a course. I saw Russell Brunson, who's now a friend of mine, who's been on my show, speak at Grant Cardone's event in 2018. I was like, oh, I'll make a course. This will print money. Well, guess what? I made a course. I ran ads. It did not print money. In fact, it made nothing. And I said, man, this education thing sucks. I'll just focus on running my own business. And I think a lot of real estate investors do that, right? It's funny because now today I see people hate on gurus, right? They're like, dude, freaking, if you're making so much money in your real estate business, why are you doing education? Blah, blah, blah. And the funniest thing is almost every single guy I've ever seen say that tried to do education at some point and lacked the skill set and the talent to do it. And it's not shade, it's just the truth. Because if you're successful in real estate, 99% of the time, everyone's going to ask you to coach them and mentor them. That's just the natural progression of being good at anything. People want you to teach them how you did it. And then guess what? A lot of times you start consulting, you start coaching and whatever else. And then, you realize it's a whole different business in itself. You got to do marketing, you got to do sales, you got to throw events, you got to create programs, you got to hire coaches, you got to create courses, you got to, throw wealth cons. Like coaching and education has nothing to do with running an actual real estate business. It is a totally different business. And, anytime I get guys who want to do it, right? I mean, I get my own students who are like, dude, you mind if we start coaching? I'm like, dude, I don't care. Go coach. It doesn't matter to me, but I'll just tell you, you'll probably make more just focusing on your real estate business. And they say, well, dude, I mean, how? Coaching is like all profit and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's really not at scale. Like it is when you first start for sure, right? You got pent up demand, but after pent up demand's gone, you got to get new people, right? Because education is a weird business in that once someone learns something from you, now the thing that you sell is no longer valuable because they've already learned it from you. So if I taught you how to flip a house, what am I going to teach you how to flip a house again? Like it's not valuable anymore. And so what makes education a really tough business for a lot of people, and that's why most people can't have it. I've been doing it now 7 years. The reason most people can't do it is because you can't constantly acquire more and more customers to teach them the same thing. or you're not innovating enough to teach your customers and clients new things, your students new things, and providing them new ways to do the business and innovation. So anyways, most people just can't do it, especially those who are successful. And I kind of like, if they still don't believe me, I'm like, look, let me just put this on, let me just give you an example here. How many real estate people, okay, do you think make 7 figures a year? Just at period. Flippers, wholesalers, realtors, multifamily people, Airbnb people, storage people, anyone who owns a hotel, an apartment, office building. Like, there's so many forms of real estate, okay? And, how many of those people do you think make 7 figures, just revenue from it, right? I don't know what the answer is. Maybe ChatGPT does, but I always ask people, I'm like, what do you think the answer is? And, I'll get ranges, and some people will say it's like 10,000 people. Some people would say 100,000 people. I don't know. Okay. Let's just say the number is only 10,000, which I think is low. I actually probably think the number's probably 100,000. When you really think about all the buildings in the whole country, those are all owned by somebody and they're getting rent every single month. There's billions of dollars in rent. So I would imagine landlords alone, there might be 100,000 landlords alone that make over $1 million in rent. But I digress, right? Forget about that, right? You got flippers, wholesalers, all this stuff. I said, okay, let's just say there's 100,000 people, okay? How many people online do you think are making 7 figures a year right now in the education space of real estate? And they'll think about it and they're like, I don't know. And I go, well, just tell me. For everyone you see online, right? I mean, that's the people doing it. How many do you actually see online? Like, start naming them right now. And so they'll name a couple of people and whatever else. And I say, yeah. They all are. I know who they are. It's great. And overall, they can only name a couple of people. And I go, okay, you only can name a couple of people. Now, let's just say that that's not all the people. Let's say, I don't know, let's say there's 100 people in real estate education that do 7 figures in revenue. Or even, let's get crazy. And I know this ain't the number, but let's say there was 1,000 people that did it. I know that's not the number, but if there's 1,000 people who can go successfully figure out that, but there's 100,000 people that figure out the other way, which one is the harder skill set? One is literally at least 100 times more likely to happen, and probably more like 1,000 times more likely to happen. That's my point with it. I'm like, education requires a different skill set. Everyone who has success in real estate thinks about education, at least at one point, and they get approached about it, but very few can actually do it. So why do I bring all this up? Because I've been in the education game a long time. I've seen ups and downs. I've seen market shift. I've sold everything you could imagine. We've done group coaching, one-on-one coaching, massive 1,000+ person events like WealthCon. We've done virtual workshops. We've done in-person workshops. I got an in-person workshop space, here in my office. We've coached thousands and thousands of students over the years. I've done other forms of coaching. We've done social media coaching. We've done business coaching. We've done so many different things in the education space. And we've made tens of millions of dollars, multiple 8 figures over the years doing education. So I'm saying all this to, once again, just like with the home run offer example, to give you the background of where I'm coming at with my goals, the pros, the cons, all this stuff. Okay. What I've realized is the education market is changing dramatically, just like every other market. Back in the day, you guys might remember like all these TV show, real estate investors were running these workshops. They would never even show up. They would just use their face, their brand. Then another company would just, upsell a $1,000 thing into a $10,000 thing into a $50,000 thing. That was the business model. Just run live events all across the country. They'd have like 20 events running over a weekend, upsell those people into like this workshop thing. And, that was the model. And guess what? Those companies made billions of dollars over the years. Then eventually you started seeing like what I would call this digital model, where guys like Russell Brunson and Ty Lopez and all these other people came along. They started doing these webinars, paid ads, all this stuff. And that killed it for a minute. And then I think you saw the rise of the influencer from COVID up to this point, where guys like myself and other people who you guys all probably watch started doing social media and content, and they started getting organic traffic, people buying their programs, their coaching, their workshop, all this stuff. Every single big entrepreneur you see on social media has an education component to what they do. Doesn't matter whether it's me, doesn't matter if it's Patrick Bet-David, Hormozy, Grant Cardone, every single person, Cody Sanchez, they've all been on my show. They all have their version of this. Because guess what? I mean, if you really like somebody's free organic content, naturally you want to learn more from them and you're willing to pay for it. And, I've been a part of all their different events and different things. And so I can say I've learned a lot from all of them. I've paid for money for all of them. Okay. And it's been great. So I've got no regrets with it. People have paid me, people have paid them. Really my opinion with education is you get what you put into it, right? I mean, if you're going to learn from any one of the people I just mentioned, if you don't have success, it's likely not their program. It's likely you just not putting in the work, because there's plenty of other testimonials out there of people who did put in the work who had success. So why do I say all of this? Well, for me, back to my original premise of education is that once somebody learns a certain thing from you, it becomes difficult to keep them in. Because if I already taught you how to flip a house or wholesale a house, okay, great. You're like, Ryan, I love you, dude, but you already taught me how to do this. What's the point of re-upping? And so we would always see that like renewal rates were always super low. So you'd always have to just, sell the next person and teach the next person. And, we've done really well doing that. The other part about all this too is that everything had to be high ticket in that format because marketing costs are so expensive. Throwing massive events is so expensive. If I throw WealthCon, it might cost me $600,000 to throw this event. We're not even making that back in ticket sales. We might. I mean, we've had some where we've made more in ticket sales than the cost of the event, but more than likely you're making it on the back end at the event when you sell a coaching program or whatever else. And when you do that, right, I mean, you got to get big chunks of money to make it worthwhile and to pay bills and everything else. I mean, so for us, our programs were always, $10,000 programs, $25,000 programs. People would have to come up with, at least $3,000 to $5,000 down on different programs because it just didn't make sense otherwise, especially with all of the resources we had to put towards coaching somebody, getting them onboarded, getting them a one-on-one coach, all the different things. That has been the model for many, many years. And the problem with that model is not a lot of people have all that kind of money up front. And so, you can't really help them. Once they learn, they're out. And customer acquisition cost keeps getting more and more expensive. And so for me in 2024, it was a year of figuring out where's this education industry going, because I thought we were in a pivot. I know lots of education people that went out of business in 2023 in both the real estate space and other spaces. And, and almost everyone I know, their numbers are way down. And so I said, well, clearly the market's changing. Clearly, people aren't just valuing information anymore because guess what? Information's free. We can all just get information on YouTube. And in fact, I created something called Wealthy University in 2024, where you could literally get all of our courses, join the community, jump on some live calls for $97 a month. I mean, that product just 3 years ago was the $10,000 product. That's what people would pay. That was the market value. Today is literally worth $97 a month. And it's not because it sucks. It's just because that's what the market values information and community at today. And so I just started to say, well, what does the market value then? Because clearly I'm not going to get rich on $97 a month. You ain't going to pay the bills on that. So what does the market value? And how do we help the most people? And so it just occurred to me that the market overall in just life is becoming like a monthly subscription type thing. Everybody just is going towards this way of monthly subscriptions, whether it's apps, whether it's, deliveries, whether it's, obviously your mortgage and your rent, all that stuff's been monthly, but, we're just trending more and more towards monthly subscriptions. I said, okay, well, all right, we got to somehow turn into a recurring revenue business. We can't just only depend on high ticket sales, get 5,000, 10,000 right off the bat. Like, what if we could get everyone in on a monthly subscription, whether it was $97 a month or $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month? Like, if we could build a recurring revenue business that actually gave them things that they needed beyond just education and community, then, they're going to stick longer and they're going to work with us and they're going to have more success, and they'll keep paying and staying students or customers or clients or whatever you want to call it, as long as we can give them more value with less risk up front. Don't make them sign contracts. Don't make them put up all this money up front. Let them try it out and then just keep giving them what they would otherwise buy anyway. And long story short, what occurred to me was that people are far more willing to pay for services than they are for education, because guess what? You got to buy services anyways. So, I started just thinking through, well, what are the things that they're buying no matter what? Well, people are buying softwares no matter what, right? You need a CRM, you need some kind of software to look up sellers and look up properties and all that stuff. Okay, so we did that. We created Wealthy CRM and Wealthy Deals. So now we have all the softwares covered that they would need. They need nothing else. It's literally that. Okay, what was the next thing? Well, they needed leads. All right, that's the big one. People spend money on marketing. Either way, you got to spend money on marketing. So, if I can now provide the marketing for them, then they're going to have to keep buying leads. Like, that's just any business. You got to get more leads every single month. It never goes away. And so we started doing leads, and we first started with Lead Kitchen, which is a premium higher end product where we'll run your marketing. We'll run my ads, my face, everything that we know works in your market, and you get all the leads. That was a more premium product for somebody who, has capital, willing to spend at least $5,000 a month, because that's the only way that kind of marketing works. But then we created something called lead packs, which are inbound leads that come in packs of 50 at an extremely cheap price. And so, lead packs, more so than Lead Kitchen, has been the big revolution with all this, because now we've been able to give people high quality leads for a fraction of the price, and it still makes sense for everybody involved. And so we essentially revamped our entire business to make everybody's monthly, well, number one, put everybody on monthly subscription instead of just like high ticket upfront, annual contracts, all that stuff. We made it way more consumer friendly and said, hey, there are no contracts, pay a month, test it out. We know you're going to love it. If you don't, quit. No big deal, right? So that was number one. Number two, we just delivered significantly more value. So to give an example, for $1,000 a month, our rookie program is $1,000 a month, and you get 50 inbound leads. That's one lead pack. You get both softwares we have. You get a one-on-one coach. You get access to our community, access to all of our courses, group Zoom calls on all different subjects of real estate, sales, raising capital, construction, everything. No annual contract. You get all this for $1,000 a month. And if you don't like it, all you spent was $1,000 and you let it go. So now everything that a consumer needs is right here. It's an all-in-one solution. And, my bet is that obviously way more people will at least give it a try, because the risk is significantly lower than before, where you need to put $5,000 up front and all that stuff. So number one, more people will try it. Number two, assuming they have success, they're going to stick with it, because guess what? It's not just about the coaching anymore. It's about the leads. It's about the softwares. They're going to pay for that anyways. And so we've been doing that the last 3 months, and it has drastically changed the entire business. Not only are people having significantly more success, like honestly, we've been in business 7 years now. So if people didn't have success, we couldn't still be in business. But I literally have never seen this much success so quickly, because they're now getting everything that they need right off the bat. They don't even need to look for anything else. It's all right there. So, if customers and students are having success, they're going to keep buying, they're going to keep upgrading, they're going to get more leads, they're going to do all these things that would naturally happen either way if they scaled a business. It just so happens they're now going to do it through us. So, why is this really important? For multiple reasons. Number one, if you can, increase your lifetime value as a business, you make more money, right? It also allows you to keep up with rising advertising costs. The fact is, ads are going to keep getting more expensive. They're never going to get cheaper. And so you have to maximize your LTV, your lifetime value. And recurring revenue allows you to do both those things. It allows you to sell more people into it because there's way less risk up front. It's a way better offer and value proposition. But number two now, once they're in, they're in. And so, if we had, if we added $50,000 a month in recurring revenue, well, that pours into next month. And then if we add another 50 and another 50 and another 50, well, now all of a sudden you go, it was 50 before, now it's 100, now it's 150, now it's 200. Now, obviously there's churn along the way, but you get my point. It just starts to compound. And, if people are having success, there's no way they would ever stop. You would not stop paying for the thing that's giving you, that's literally like your entire business, really. I mean, with the softwares, with the leads, coaching, everything. So, all in all, I've pivoted my entire business to now basically giving all the services to our students. Instead of them being all these different separate things, it's all included now in the membership. And it's absolutely changed our business. It's changed the game. And I'm just super excited to see where it leads to in this next coming year. And so for me, the last part to this is if I can help our students have more success, they will buy more leads. And then, the last component that we just added as well, that's part of the service package is we do hard money lending. And so all of our students that were, using all these other lenders, we actually can go beat all those lenders now in pricing because they're just going to go through us on everything that we do. And so we don't have to pay to acquire a customer because they're already in the system. Therefore, we can make less on the loans because they're already paying us on other things. And so now it just creates this win-win where they're getting the cheapest loans they can get. They get in quality. And guess what? If they do more deals, they do more loans. And we both just keep winning together. So instead of only teaching them how to do it right, I'm now providing all the other things they would have had to pay for anyway. It's not even a sale at that point. You got to buy these things regardless. So that's where I'm taking our business. And, long story short, as far as the goal goes for this, at least from my perspective as a business owner, clearly I know if we just create the best product and people have success, everything else will take care of itself, clearly, right? But my goal next year is to get to $1 million a month in recurring revenue. Now, like I said at the beginning of this, we've done tens of millions in education. We've had plenty of $1 million months over the years, but they were different. They were high ticket sales, non-recurring. You always had to just sell. It's like you restarted every single month. It's just like house flipping, right? Once you flip the house and it's done, you got to get another house. With recurring revenue, we don't got to keep like reselling and bringing all these new people in. Yeah, we want to bring new people in. Clearly, that's how you grow. But it's just become significantly easier, more profitable with recurring revenue. And then one day too, if I ever wanted to sell, a recurring revenue business is worth significantly more, especially when it has these different verticals that are tech, lead generation, and then now, the hard money component. I think it makes it significantly more valuable overall. And I can just tell you, like, just from now, the last 3 months of doing this, selling services is so much easier than selling education. Like, education in people's minds, this is me just being transparent with everyone. Education in people's minds is kind of like thin air, right? Like, people who understand see the value in it. They see the value in mentorship, but a lot of people don't. They're just like, bro, like, I can go learn on YouTube. And most don't. Most who try to learn on YouTube literally do nothing. That's just the way it goes, right? But I can just tell you, the moment we started making it about the services, we're like, no, dude, we're giving you the CRM. We're giving you the softwares. We're giving you leads. We're giving you money. Then it was like, oh, well, bro, I'm all in for that. And then the education became the bonus. It became the thing that if we could teach you how to use these things properly, then you'll just keep using more of the services, which in the end is really what people perceive as the more valuable asset. And instead of fighting the current where information is becoming less and less valuable as time goes on, as ChatGPT and as YouTube and all these things become bigger, instead of fighting that, trying to keep staying with, well, dude, people used to pay us this much money just for education. I said, you know what? Screw it. Let me go give them the things that they actually need, and the education just becomes the cherry on top. And that's exactly what we do now. So I'm super excited about the future of Wealthy Investor. The other part too about all of this is that we just focus now on real estate. Like I said, I've done lots of different education. We had Wealthy Creator with coaching people on social media and stuff. And we'll still do that like on a one-on-one basis with people. But I'm not worried about now just like doing group coaching and all these things for that. I'm just worried about the real estate side of things and building the best product for wholesalers and house flippers. That's it. And I'm just continuing to just double down on that. And I know that results-wise, it'll get people better results. Financially, it'll be rewarding for, me and the team and everyone else. And so that's all I'm focused on the education side. And now too, all of those things, I just consider them like one bucket, like whether it's wealthy lending for hard money, whether it's lead kitchen and lead packs for the leads, whether it's wealthy deals and wealthy CRM for the softwares, or wealthy investor, wealthy university, all of those to me are the same business. I used to segregate those things and, all that. It's all just together now because they all are included in one package. So it's really cool. But, that's goal number 2, get to $1 million+ recurring revenue next year and then scale up from there. That's the goal. But number 3, let's talk about number 3. This one is really important to me as well. I saved it for a little later because I know people want to hear about the business stuff first. But Wealthy Kingdom. So for those of you who don't know, Wealthy Kingdom is our nonprofit for Christian entrepreneurs. And we started this back in 2013, halfway through 2013. And, my premise was I want to launch Bible studies in small groups all across the country, in people's offices and people's homes for business people and entrepreneurs. And we did exactly that. We launched almost 100 of those studies over the last year. And in fact, in just 2024 alone, we had over 3,000 meetings of small groups and Bible studies in offices, in homes. So to me, that's incredible. We saw hundreds of people get saved. We held one of our events called the Kingdom Summit, which had over 1,000 attendees at. So that was like our big, event for Wealthy Kingdom. I had Ed Milet come speak. He was awesome. I had some of the biggest Christian influencers like Girls Gone Bible, my buddy Ruslan, my buddy Jordan Feliz came and held a concert. It was just like this epic one-day event. And so we're going to run that back. We're going to do it, now instead of a one-day event, we're going to do it for 2.5 days here on, I think I'm okay to announce it now. It's going to be April 2nd through the 4th. So if anyone wants to attend that event, man, the best place if you want to grow in your faith and your business. So you can go to wealthykingdom.com/summit. But, we threw that, and then we did a new kind of event, which is free, called Kingdom Nights. And the goal of Kingdom Nights was John 4:24. That's the verse is based on. We are to worship God in spirit and truth. And so what we do is Friday night, we have what we call a revival night. So it's our spiritual night. That's where we worship in spirit. And so, it's like 2 hours plus long. We're just doing worship music. We're praying over people, healing people. Like, it's crazy. It was like, we did the first one here at the office. It was nuts. Our next one's in Orange County, actually, July 24th and 25th. Absolutely free. Would love for anyone, if this goes out before then, to come. You can go to kingdomrevivals.com to go register for that free event in Orange County. But day 1's about honoring in spirit. Day 2 is about in truth. So day 2 is like workshop style. So I literally trained for like 4 hours. And people loved it. I trained on growing in your faith, growing in your family, and growing in your finances. And how God and what the Bible says about all those things. And, if you're listening to this and you're a believer or you're a non-believer, you're seeking, you're not sure, come. I would love to see you at any of those events. Kingdom Nights is absolutely free. Kingdom Summit, has an expense. But I want to just see Wealthy Kingdom continue to grow. And one of the things I'm really working on this year is because we've been doing the Bible studies. Those are great. We have our online community, which you guys can also join at wealthykingdom.com. And, we got, I think, over 1,500 people in that. And, we do weekly calls. We got the group and, everyone loves it. Then, we have these events, Kingdom Nights, Kingdom Summit, all that stuff. But here's the thing. For the first year, I just funded the whole thing. So I funded the staff, the Kingdom Summit. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I just did it because I believe in it so much. But clearly that's not sustainable. and it's not going to grow to where it needs to go if like I'm just the only guy. So we ended up getting nonprofit status earlier in 2024, and we started taking donations. Unfortunately, donations did not pour in the way that I had hoped. It's actually really bad. I thought that more people would just donate because, I don't know, you expect Christians to be generous, but I understand there was a lot of things to it. I think one of the big ones is that people are just like, well, Ryan's got money. He'll figure it out. They don't need me. So I think there was a lot of that attitude. And then, it's kind of disheartening because we did the Kingdom Summit and I didn't like, if any of you guys been to WealthCon, I am not afraid to pitch. Okay. Like I just talked about education. If you do a big event in education, you got to pitch. You got to go sell a $20,000, $30,000 thing in order for the event to pay for itself and to be profitable. But at the Kingdom Summit, I was like, well, I don't want to pitch anything. So, the only thing I'll say is like, hey, if we're a nonprofit. If you believe in what we're doing, just donate. Well, with 1,000 people there, and by the way, I did not pitch hard at all. I was just like, here's the QR code, donate. We only had $800 of donations at the Kingdom Summit. So it ended up being a 6-figure, loss. And it's not a loss because what we did made a massive difference in everyone's lives. But financially, yeah, it was a negative 6-figure thing that I ended up paying for. And I was happy to do it, but it just kind of taught me, I'm like, look, a nonprofit needs to run like a business. It's called a nonprofit, organization or a nonprofit business, meaning you still have to operate like a business. You still need to be sustainable. And so you either got to figure out a way to raise capital better and get people behind and just really do donations. And by the way, I should have known this. I didn't know it until I actually ran one, but it's like I've donated to many different charities and different things. And guess what? They throw events, they do golf fundraisers, they do all these things, they pitch, they sell, like they go hard at it just like any normal business. Real estate investors, I found a brand new way to create cash flow that's better than anything else I've ever done. It's better than rental properties, Airbnb, my flipping business, multifamily. It's the best thing we've done yet. It is building an automated wholesale business. Now you might be saying, Ryan, how do you build an automated wholesale business? Well, what if you had the same exact leads that I get every single month? What if you had a sales script that was so easy to close deals over the phone that you could do it all across the country? And what if you could sell your deals directly on the MLS without a real estate license and without having to actually own the property and getting top dollar? Well, we do that with this new method. And I made an 11-minute video where I go over how it all works, how you can start doing it today. So if you want to go see that video, go to wealthyinvestor.com, go click the case study and see what I'm talking about. And then, some nonprofits just simply sell products and they operate like a normal business and they just happen to be a nonprofit. Now, some of those businesses are just nonprofits for freaking tax reasons. They're not really nonprofits. Like, in fact, when I was with Patrick Bet-David, he said Rolex is a nonprofit. Clearly, Rolex, I don't know how they're a nonprofit, but they ain't, right? But they are, at least technically. But, I'm just like, man, okay, if this is going to get to where it needs to go, we got to build a sustainable model. And so I created a group called Tent Makers, and I basically made it for people who are willing to donate at least $1,000 a month to us. Once again, going back to this monthly model for more predictable giving and everything else. And I said, you know what? I'm going to create this group of people who really believe in what we're doing, who are committed to give. And, I'm going to also treat it like we treat other, products where it's like, hey, if you give, we're going to have different masterminds. We're going to have different meetups. You're going to be with all the other tent makers, the people who are givers too, people who love Jesus and who are also doing well in business. You're going to be, you're going to get special seats at the summit and Kingdom Nights, and we're going to do dinners and, all these different things. Because if I wanted to join, so literally all my products are like what I would want. I'm like, dude, that would be awesome if I could be around other Christian business owners who I knew were actually walking the talk, who actually gave and who were generous and everything else. Because you'll meet a lot of Christian business owners and they don't even tithe. And I'm just like, bro, if you don't even tithe, dude, you got a lot of work to do. And I talk about that at Kingdom Nights too. I'm like, I don't want your tithe. You should be giving it to the local church. But if you're not even tithing yet, there's a massive disconnect between where your faith is and where, your heart is, especially when it comes to money. And so, I'm not making this video about a sermon, but I'm just once again, with all of these goals, I'm transparently explaining to you why these are goals for me in 2024 or 2025. So anyways, I realized that in order for it to build Wealthy Kingdom into a sustainable nonprofit, we got to productize it and we got to give people value. There's just not that many people who are just generous off the bat and they just give. That's what I've realized. You got to give people an exchange of value. And so with tent makers and everything else, I'm really just trying to build it out like any normal business to really build a sustainable model. So it doesn't require me to just, self-fund it so much and everything else. And that's what it's been to this point. If people have ever paid to be on my podcast, I made them donate it to Wealthy Kingdom. People who have paid for like golf with me or, me speaking at an event or them, paying for whatever, like anything with Ryan Pineda, the influencer, I've just my pledge was I just giving it all to Wealthy Kingdom. So that's like, it was already that way without me even realizing it. I realized that if you just give people like a valuable product, they'll be more than happy to donate to a thing. But people just don't really donate as much as you'd want out of the goodness of their heart, even Christians. So anyways, instead of fighting it, back to what I said about education, instead of fighting what the market is, just give the market what it wants. And people want to, see something if they're to give that benefits them, and I'm okay with that. It just is what it is. So yeah, for me, my main goal with Wealthy Kingdom is to build products, funnels, and different things, just like we do for the other businesses, that create a sustainable model that just keep growing the nonprofit business side so that we can do bigger events, so that we can do better summits, so that we can do mission trips, so that we can continue to build more Bible studies, market more, grow the overall organization, and impact more people, right? So that's the goal with Wealthy Kingdom, which leads to, I got 2 more goals. So I'll say, my 4th is personal goals. So these are kind of random. So I'll kind of breeze through these. But one of my personal goals is we want to have another kid in 2025. So that one's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I just, just go to Mindy and try to make it happen, right? So, hopefully that happens. That would be kid number 4. For those who don't know, I got 3 kids, 5 and under. So I might as well just build the army now while we're in the thick of it. I'd rather not just wait until, like kids are older and then all of a sudden I start back over. I'm just like, let's get it all done now. So, that's one of my goals. I also want to get in better shape. So 2023, I was kind of in the best shape of my life. 2024, kind of let myself go. So I'm going to get back into it. I need to get back on the peptides and just go crazy. So, I'm going to get in better shape, get a 6-pack again and do all that. And then lastly, my one of my other personal goals is I want to officially be a scratch golfer as a, 0 handicap. So right now my handicap is like a 2.5 or something. You guys can go look me up. And I'm playing better than ever, and I'm doing some swing changes and stuff, but I got to practice more, and I think I can get to the 0. So that's one of my goals, is to be an official scratch golfer. People will tell you 3 and under is considered scratch, but I want to get to that 0. So those are some personal goals. And then lastly, goal number 5 has to do with social media. And, first off, for all of you guys watching this, thank you for sitting through all this. Hopefully you found it valuable. If you have, please consider subscribing, because I'm just trying to teach you lessons from things I've done good, things I've done wrong, all that good stuff. But social media, I got a few goals and a few things I'm working on. Number 1, I'm definitely going to have more real estate content. When I first started YouTube in 2020, I did lots of house flip tours. I did more real estate trainings and all those things. Then as time got on, I kind of got honestly burnt out of it. And I started expanding into new things. We did the podcast. I started just doing general business videos, faith videos, all this stuff. I mean, I've done almost everything on this channel. And I'm not going to stop doing, podcast. I love podcasting, so that's not going to stop. But what I want to get back to doing is more real estate content. I want to do more house flip tours. So like I said, I'm going to be, flipping way more houses again in 2025. So I want to show you guys the befores, the afters, kind of the lessons learned with flipping houses. I want to do more real estate trainings. And, I kind of got I kind of got away from it the last couple of years. And so now I'm kind of like fresh to do it again. And things are changing. And so I want to share all the new strategies and everything else. And then clearly, I just know that if I do more real estate content, it helps build wealthy investor. It helps get us more deals. It helps all those things. So, I just think it's better overall, to just kind of get back to doing more real estate content. And then with the podcast, I'm still obviously going to podcast. I want to get better guests. I want to get higher caliber people. I've been fortunate to have some really high level people, but the crazy part about all the high level people I've had is I've kind of put like no effort into it. I've been very blessed to have kind of the biggest names in entrepreneurship just kind of, honestly fall into my lap. Like somebody introduces me to somebody, we cross paths, and then we connect, and then boom, they're here. And the cool thing about being in Vegas is people are always in Vegas. And so what happens is I just have lots of people reach out to me who happen to be in Vegas because they know I'm here. And they're like, hey, we should do a podcast. And I'm like, great. And that's how the podcast has been run like the last 2 years. So I think that just being more intentional is going to change that, because I know if I'm intentional, I will get better guests. Like if I just reach out to people, surprise, you probably get better results. And so I'm going to be more intentional with getting better guests. And also too on Instagram, at least. I'm on YouTube, but I'm going to do more behind the scenes content. People seem to like the reels behind the scenes of what we do. And so I want to show kind of more behind the scenes with that. But also too, I would love to hear what you guys think with social media. Let me know in the comments what kind of content you would like to see. What would you find valuable, right? If you're here till this point right now, then that means, you got a lot of commitment. And so I appreciate your input, your opinion. I would love to hear it. So yeah, definitely let me know on that. But, that's kind of my social media plan. And I'll just say this overall, right? I was just really reflecting on 2024. And the phrase that really came to mind was that, more isn't better. Over the last few years, I've had lots of more. Started lots of businesses and lots of different industries. I did content on lots of different things. Had more employees, more ad spend, more events, more everything. And I can tell you, more causes more distractions and more dilution of resources. And so for me, 2024 and now going into 2025 has been a matter of simplifying and getting back to the basics, getting back to the things that made me successful in the first place, getting back to the things that I know better than anything, which is real estate investing, and just really going all in on building the best and being the best at that. And it doesn't mean that, I'll never make content about anything else ever again. No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean, like, I just gave you all my business goals. They were all real estate related. For me making money next year, it's all related to real estate, whether it's my own investing, wholesaling, or all the products and services associated with real estate. That is the only way I'm making money next year. Everything else, if it's me as an influencer, whatever, that's just going to Wealthy Kingdom. So I am just simplified, going super deep in that front. And I think, honestly, I could personally net more money than ever next year if we just do everything the way we should. Because when you're simplified, you have less overhead, you have less headache, less ad spend, everything becomes way more efficient, and your life just gets easier. I don't have to worry about so many different things. And I can tell you, just with more comes, like I said, more distractions, more dilution, then just way more problems. I had way more lawsuits, way more bad things happen, way more employees that, we had to get rid of or let go. Like, dude, when you just spread yourself thin and you just do more of so much stuff, you realize it's usually not a great thing. And so, you don't know until you try it. So it's not like I regret trying it, because I think if I didn't go through it, then I would have eventually tried it, right? I'm a guy who's willing to try anything. And that's like, honestly, what's got us to this point. So I want to say, like, I'm all for people trying things. Even myself, I'm still always trying things. If I didn't try social media, we wouldn't be here. If I didn't try flipping a house because I was too scared, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't try throwing a big event or anything else, we wouldn't be here. If I didn't try making a course, we wouldn't be here, right? So like if I didn't try generating leads and doing it for other people, we wouldn't be here. So all of the great successful things that I know are really good and we're going to really excel at, were all me trying something new at some point. So I had to eventually, I had to try things in order for those to succeed. But also, there's a whole graveyard of things that I tried that didn't work. And in fact, the graveyard is way bigger of things that didn't work to find the few things that did. And so I just want to say, for any entrepreneurs listening to this, it's okay to try and fail, right? There's always a cost to failing, right? It could be lost money. It could be bad press. It could be a lawsuit. It could be people mad at you. I've had all those things happen, right? But in order to grow, eventually you have to keep trying new things. This won't be the last thing I ever do. All these goals, these are what I'm doing in 2025. I have no idea what I'm going to do in 2026. With AI especially. AI is changing the game, and there's going to be so many new things that we have to try in order to even stay in business. And so I'm all for trying new things. I'm all for innovating. But what I've realized too is I'm also all for just knowing when it's time to let something go and, really focus in on the things that you do really well. And so, that comes with trial and error. And 2025 is going to be a year that's much more simple for me. And I think it's hopefully going to be a lot more successful for me, for our clients, our students, our investors, our employees, and everyone else in between. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.